You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Süper var. Süper'e doğru at. Süper gitti. Süper topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Roma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 138 of Beşiktaş International's The Black Eagles podcast. I am your host, Sinan, live from New York City. With me again, the Akman, back at it. How you doing, sir?
Doing all right. How are you?
I've had better days. Pretty bad. No, I'm doing okay. Sorry, I had a sip of water there. For anyone who's not been following on Twitter, there's a very good chance I've come down with the RONA. We're on day 8 now. It's been mild. I've been lucky. No ICU, no hospital. Knock on wood. But it's really been quite light, except for it's like day 8 still. Back pain and headache, and you probably hear a little bit of that nose stuff. Hopefully I'll edit out all the coughs so you won't hear much of that on air, but yeah, it's wear your masks, folks. That's all I can say. We used to do the little hand washing segment for good reason, it turns out. God damn it. But it's all good, folks. I'm feeling all right. Fear not. Good enough to record even, right? So we're here. And of course, the antidote, perhaps, to my ailments came in the form of what we have to talk about today. Beşiktaş had a fantastic weekend, huh, Evran?
Yeah. I mean, nothing quite like a derby when you're sick. I remember the last derby, or 2 derbies, or maybe 3. The one when we had like 4 red cards in the Kadıköy. I was very sick that day, and then didn't eat all day. But then the derby started. I got so worked up. I felt okay for about 2 hours. So I'm imagining you probably had similar reactions to the derby kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the only day of this virus so far that was really kind of like off-putting was Saturday, and it wasn't even like I haven't had a terrible cough. I haven't had any of the symptoms that people have been really hearing about. Not even really a fever, much to speak of. I've been handling it all right. But that Saturday, I just kept falling asleep. It was weird. I'd go to like pet my cat, and then like 3 hours later wake up, and I wasn't tired. It was like a weird dream or something. But so that was the one day, and so it was perfect that Sunday. I woke up feeling like, okay, I think you never really know. I feel like I'm doing better, but like the symptoms kind of come and go. So I was sort of sitting around waiting to see what was going to happen, and luckily. Beşiktaş came on, and I just felt great that whole day. And obviously most of it may have been psychological, but yeah, I don't know. That was a great boost. I have to thank Beşiktaş. I have to thank the guys. We've broken our rules here. We're spoiling and all of that, even though
I think you have to live under a rock not to.
Yeah, this was a big one, right? Like, come on. This is like a celebratory episode. Coming out from the RONA to talk about this one. This is a real deal. But so let's do it. Let's talk some football. First of all, we should talk about the lineup. Evran, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, man. It was 10 of the 11 players stayed the same. The only change was the suspended Dorukhan was out and coming back from the RONA himself.
That's
Mr.
right.
Rosier slotted back into right back. Wellington was back in the squad, but he did not start. So yeah, the one thing that we didn't talk about was I have it in between was Hostage was back and then tested positive again.
Terrible.
So
yeah.
He's out again. So yeah, we had Vida, who's now back in training, out. Tere, Lenz is always out, but Dorukhan and Ersin were suspended. So we had quite a few absences. both are center backs and stuff, but basically the same team that got that big W over Başakşehir was ready to get another big W.
Yeah, man.
I guess we can talk about the team was like hyped up all the days leading up to the games. We haven't won in about 15 years.
So what do you make? I think the only real talking point here, besides perhaps Ljajic not playing, right? Because that was like
he
off
picked
and
up
on.
an injury last second. Also,
He did, right? Yeah.
It's like they said they posted like an official statement saying he was hurt. I think it's like low back pain. Maybe he's got the RONA.
Uh-oh. Oh man, that's certainly I would sympathize. But so what definitely like for me stands out here is that back line, and I think you obviously in the case of Insakala, you understand why he'd play Ridvan there given what he was coming back from.
Ridvan had a good game against Başakşehir. So
exactly.
But mess up his mojo.
But so what about that decision on Wellington? Do you think he was just looking out for the injury there, or
I know Wellington was like. I mean, he looked fit when he came on, but he hadn't played for about 3 weeks. Last time he played is when he got subbed out in that game where Montero came on and pooped it. That was the last time he played, which seems like an eternity ago. So I'm guessing he wasn't fully ready, and they just won the big game last week. So why? I think maybe Necip you could have dropped, but he probably didn't want to drop Necip. And if you drop Montero, it's kind of like didn't want to kill the guy's confidence and stuff. No need to risk Wellington's injury. I'm assuming that was the thought process.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm inclined to think it was more of a like if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. I think the fact that you saw all three of those guys plugged back in where they were is more of a like let's ride the high from Başakşehir here type of thing. Questionable, I suppose, like when you're talking about a guy like Necip, but on the other hand, I think in a derby is where a guy like Necip really might shine, right? In a sense, because that's.
There was some things. I think we could talk about him later, but like, on the ball, he was quite wonky, especially early on. I'm not sure.
I know he gave me
Yeah,
man.
He's still, he's big captain, even though he technically wasn't the captain today. Thibaut was, but big captain Necip. He always likes to come up big, randomly. Work hard, head some balls. But definitely like long term, you could see just like that passing out of the back was giving me like an aneurysm for a little bit. But
yeah, that was stressful as hell for sure. But so yeah, let's dive in. I think that's a good. We set the table there pretty well as far as all of that goes. So yeah, this was really something. I just want to say that Fener's coach has recently come out and said, what's his name?
Erol Bulut.
Erol Bulut. I was going to say Umer Bulut, but that's a guy from my football manager file. Erol Bulut, yeah. He came out and said that, what can you say? Like, they had one shot and they scored on it, right?
Oh, I think he said their first shot they scored.
Yeah, which, like, fine. That normally you'd think that would be a sort of significant thing, except it was in the 4th minute, dude. Like, it's not like that was like 20 minutes into the game we hadn't had a single chance on goal. It was the 4th minute of the game. It was like you had like maybe 2 chances before then. So that was a really odd comment, and I thought for anyone who's like hinging on his like intelligence as for how he's had success as far, that put a dent in that whole narrative. But anyway, 4 minutes in, as the man said, our first attempt on goal. And, we score. What happened there? Beautiful all around, eh? Kyle Larin.
Yeah. Kyle Larin came up with the assist. So, Abubakar kind of like was, I would say, about 35 yards out from goal. Tries to slip in a pass to Larin, and kind of like the defender like deflects it up in the air. So, it still gets to Larin, but, it takes a little bit longer. And as he brings it down with his thigh, there's like 4 defenders around him. And he's about, at this point, about 25 yards out from goal. He just kind of calmly turns inside and slots a pass back towards like the left side of like the left post, in line with that, where Abubakar is right at the top of the box. There's just Mr. Lemos, the one center back from Fenerbahçe, to defend him. Abubakar hits him with a step over, goes to his left, he's on his weak foot and just rifles a shot near post. almost top corner. Altay got like a hand to it, but he could not handle the ferocity of the strike. And Vincent Abubakar, the man, the legend, gets his first goal from run-up play.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say enough about the goal itself, obviously, and Abubakar. I think we all genuinely hoped that what he was doing with Cameroon was going to sort of translate here, and I think, I think we saw that, to be fair, right? But I gotta say a thing or two here about our boy, the family man. I was joking, folks. Like, this was not to be like, not to like take credit away from our sort of prodigious, prophecy or whatever that ended up being. But I don't know about you, Evran, but I was kind of kidding about the whole family man thing. Like, I did not foresee.
Yeah, I thought
any
it was
of
a
this
hilarious nickname, to be honest.
Yeah, I like
the bobble thing and all that. It was yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I've been like in and out of the Laren hype. I think there was times in the preseason I didn't say on air, maybe, I don't remember, where I was like, Laren with like another striker could work. I think back then I was saying Chuba Akpom.
Yeah. And remember, I made the argument. I was like, I bet he could really work with Abubakar, and you were sort of hesitant on that.
Yeah, at that point I was kind of like, I don't know if combination play will work. That was my doubts. I definitely said that on air. I had doubts about the combination play. Yeah.
Well, so and my joke, like, I fundamentally believe that any individual fundamentally has that ability to change the course of their career in a short period of time, and really focus goes a long way. Focus, organization, discipline, there are certain facets, no matter what it is you're pursuing in life. If you can apply those things appropriately, you're gonna get ahead, and I think that's the logic of the kind of late bloomer that you see in every sport, and potentially in any profession, I suppose, right? But so, like, with that said, I kind of thought, Laren could turn it around. Why not? I thought the family man narrative was a little bit like kind of journalistic, contrived. Yeah, I was sort of making fun of that whole story a little bit, but also on the other hand, you also know that, like, having had a child, it does have a huge impact on you, and it does drive you, and I think it can give you focus. And certainly in his case, the stories of him messing around with Ryan Babel and partying and stuff, it's going to change that aspect for sure.
Yeah, Babel is definitely not the, I think he's 30 years old and he's single or something, and all he talks about is not paying taxes.
Yeah, the man's not focused on the big picture. I mean, or I don't know, whatever. I guess it depends, but so, all of that set aside, I really have to say that even initially when he had like 4 goals and they were all just like on his head, what's starting to happen here with the stuff he's doing with his feet and finishing, with the last few goals he scored, not few, 2, but also now that run, and his general level of energy and commitment, and he played really well until he got, I thought, very unjustly booted from the match. We'll get there in a moment. Are you with me on this? Like, I really was impressed with his, not just his energy, but even his application.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not like still hyped on him, but I think this was one of like the few times where he was like consistent, and it's not like he wasn't taking those like wonky touches. His link up, I mean, bring up stats already, but he had 14 out of 14 passes completed, which you might think, not a lot. It's not crazy, but usually Laren is bouncing the ball off his head and chasing his first touch.
Exactly. Like the turnaround from
passes. Wasn't like an immaculate performance, world class, selling for 900 million, but it was. No, yeah. The time he was on the field, I think there was. That link-up play was better, which is, I much maligned his link-up play, which I don't think was an unfair criticism, but he showed improvements from, from the beginning of the season to now. So, and, that was the biggest game.
So we're in agreement. I don't think Barcelona is going to be knocking on our door tomorrow, but nonetheless, I think we can all be really impressed with the turnaround there. And there's like a moral to that story for any one of us, wherever we are in life, right? It's never too late to turn things around, to make that next jump in whatever it is you're doing. Anyway, 15th minute, a yellow card for Fener, which I do not recall at all. Tisserand.
They got like so many just for hauling
I know.
players down to the floor. That was on
were-
Abubakar.
yeah, they were
Abubakar
gross.
turned Tisserand and he just grabbed him and Abubakar stopped. It was like, what is that? And then referee duly dished out the yellow card. So
Yeah, I mean, they were so physical
they were doing
like that.
professional fouls or tactical fouls like every chance they had. Like, "Yo, you
And
beat me. Sit down."
it really, I think, underscored a bit of a gulf between the two sides, certainly in that first half.
I
That
think
like
also at the same way when they had the ball, they were also dropping like flies. They
Yeah.
clearly were there to do whatever it took to con whoever they needed. It was like almost every single tackle that we made. There'd be no touch or almost no touch, and they were going down. And then when we would dribble past them, they'd like just hauling guys to the floor, no remorse. So that was
their strategy.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really frustrating. Honestly, that was really hard to watch because the injustice was clear. And like, I usually don't really get behind managers being so emotional, like showy with their emotions, but this time I really felt Sergei Yalchin's, like when he was getting so heated in the second half of this match. Because I think we were all feeling that way. And
Mimicking what the fans felt. Even
Exactly.
maybe a little bit more relaxed version because I would have got sent off.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. No, like, and I felt his knowledge of what was happening.
If Ditso was our coach, he would have got sent off in the third.
For sure, yeah, for sure. No, but Sergei Yalchin, I think, also knows exactly what was going on there. With the two clubs at play, with the sort of things that typically happen. Like, he knew exactly what was being orchestrated. So you felt. Yeah, I was like proud of him for keeping composed enough. Like that when the assistant coach got the yellow, I thought that was going to be him getting sent off. I don't know how that. Whatever. We're skipping ahead though. So 20th minute. After really, like you'd expect after we'd score, Fener would be on the attack, but I think we composed ourselves really well, and they were sort of thrashing about still. And then 20th
they were
minute.
very poor defensively. I think that's like part of the reason why they just kept hauling players to the ground is because every time they would lose an individual duel, it kind of looked like we were off to the races.
Yeah.
So
And this was a perfect example of it, actually. In the 20th minute, it was Ghazal with a perfect little cross. Why don't you pick it up from there?
Yeah, so the Fener fans thought they had a potential foul. I think it was like right before this. I mean, it would have been very soft, but they go on complaining. We get the ball out to the right wing, and then he not really any pressure. He just kind of cuts in and clips in, typical Ghazal cross where he cuts in and curls it in with his left foot, and Abubakar just kind of glides into the box. No one's marking him. Goes in between the center backs and just. We're really, perfect header. The ball's coming across goal, and he just kind of floats in the air, just redirects it perfectly into the, back where it came from. And Altai didn't even move, side netting, nothing he could do. Perfect header, 2-0.
Yeah, and at this point,
The GOAT.
I think, this podcast has always been an Abubakar stan account.
A big stand.
Yeah, so I think we at this point we were feeling great. 25th minute is the first real injustice as far as the refereeing goes, and Kyle Aaron gets a yellow card. What the heck was that?
Yeah, so I think that was one or two attacks later. Abubakar hits like a really hard low cross in, and Lemos does well to get there before Laren slides in, and then Lemos just like falls over like he got assaulted. But then when you look at the replay, like Laren just slid next to him.
Yeah.
The referee, like, it was like, I think it was the 24th minute that tackle happened, and then the ball stayed in play. The referee came back and gave him a yellow card. Like, I guess he played advantage, but he didn't even like touch him. And if he did, it was so, like, you know, you should not have caused any reaction. You know, it would have been like if someone walked by you on the street, you'd be like, oh, my bad. You don't just collapse to the ground and act like your femur is shattered.
let's be clear that somehow for a guy playing on a side that was behind, this guy managed to spend a good like 30 minutes on the ground this match, and I gotta say, I'm gonna do it. I have an official list, the hit list, if you will. And I took out the S at the beginning, so I don't have to, do the beeps and all that. But it consists so far of Adem Büyük, Yasin Öztekin, who am I forgetting? The little dude who used to play for Bursa, Volkan Şen.
Volkan Şen, what a guy.
I'm forgetting another guy who I truly dislike. But anyway, add Senor Lemos to the list, man. What a turd this guy. Like I spent so much of my like COVID energy, what little I had, cursing this man to the heavens. Like, God, that was terrible.
Trying to be level-headed during this game was difficult as an onlooker. Let me tell you.
But to compound misery, 34th minute, a goal.
Yeah,
What
corner
happened?
kick. I mean, just like really awful defending from. I don't know. I think it was Montero and Rosier were both. I think might have been a little bit more on Montero, but cross comes in the near post from the corner, and Tisserand just like flicks out on the back post, and both Montero and Rosier both move forward, while like towards the middle of the box, and then
there was a deflection, right? Because Tisserand.
No, there was. Tisserand just flicked it on.
Yeah, but like it was weird because it was as if they were playing an offside trap, forgetting that of course Ridvan Yilmaz has the near post as he's supposed to on a corner.
Yeah, there was two men on the line, so it was nearly impossible for him to be offside.
That was stupid.
And then, it's a corner kick, so the ball's coming from basically the end line as well. So,
Well, yeah, but remember,
They both rushed forward, and it was pretty clear Tisserand was going to flick it on when they rushed forward. It wasn't like,
Should have been, yeah.
And then it was just a tap in at the back post. Like, he had 6 yards of space because they basically just ran away from him.
My only question is, I bet I'm gonna get some flack for this. Maybe I bet if Ersin is in the game, he comes out and gets that ball, because it was, I think, a keeper with the intention of coming out and getting a ball like that. It was definitely in the range where it could have happened, because I think where Tisserand gets it, it's like right in front of the goal line, right? Not the goal line. What is that the little box? God damn it.
6 yard
box. I got COVID brain. The 6 yard box, right? So I feel like that's in Ersin's range, because he's good in the air, good in the air.
Yeah.
Am I crazy to think that?
No, I don't. I think Utku's like two weaknesses are coming out for crosses and with his feet, especially now that he's hurt. That's like Ersin's. I would say his proficiencies. He's not maybe the best passer in the world, but he's pretty good. And then coming out for crosses, I think he's probably the best I've ever seen to wear a Beşiktaş shirt.
Yeah,
just coming out for crosses. So in this game,
even like Rushdu, that was kind of a weakness.
Utku only made 2 saves all game. One of them I remember was directly at him, so it wasn't like he really had much to do outside of crosses. So
yeah, no, I think
especially 3 minutes later, John Eric came in. So
yeah, the cross man. So that's the next sort of event after their goal. So Papi Cisse scores it.
He only attempted 12 crosses. It's not
yeah, right, exactly.
50 minutes.
For him, he must have felt imprisoned, right? But so yeah, Perotti comes out. He was injured, so it wasn't like a tactical decision. Pelkas gets a yellow card. Pelkas gets a yellow card, by the way. So in the 38th minute, I feel like that could have been his second. He'd been really physical for much of the
that was
half.
Also for hauling down. I don't remember who he hauled down this time, but a very clear tactical foul.
Yeah. and we'll talk about some other thick cards that could have been handed out later in this match, especially relative to the one that was. But anyway, so they would go into the half up 1-2 since we're on the road. And so the substitutions at halftime, both are made by Fener. What do you have to say about these subs? So one is Mert Hakan Yandaş coming on for Jose Sosa, which is interesting. And the other one, this one is, for me, bizarre. Cisse comes out for Ademi. What did you think was going on there?
I don't know. I mean, I guess he just wasn't happy. I mean, I don't think Cisse was bad. He scored. But
Yeah,
other
exactly.
than the fact he scored, I guess he wasn't too involved in the build-up play. And Ademi is definitely a bigger guy and more of an aerial threat. He's like 6'5", so I'm guessing that's what he was looking for. And then with Sosa, I guess he just wasn't happy. He yanked him before halftime.
Yeah, no, Sosa I thought he looked pretty lackluster, to be honest, in that match. I don't know if Mert Hakan is the solution for them up there. I would have maybe put on Kadiolu, for example, instead. So it was a little bit more of an attacking move. But the move I was definitely critical of was Cisse. I thought it's not like he was given a bunch of opportunities on a golden platter, and the one that he put away. So I thought that was a weird move. And Ademi proved to not really be the solution for them either. So yeah, second half starts, and right away, 5 minutes in, the table has been set by the referee. Right, it's clear what's happening here. A yellow card, a second yellow card for Kyle Larin on something. Was it a foul? Is it a foul?
Yeah, it was a soft one. I mean, he held his hand out, so did not strike anybody. He was holding his hand out. It's worth noting.
And very unintentionally too, because it's very obvious.
Is 5'8", 5'9".
Exactly.
5'8". Kyle Larin's about 6'2". So he had his hand like down from his shoulders, but down from his shoulders is still like Gökhan's chest.
Yeah.
So
No,
Gökhan's like running at him, and his like hand was like planted on his like collarbones, neck area, and then Gökhan goes down holding his face, and he gets sent off.
The announcers on B in USA, they actually we were lucky this week. We got Eric Krakauer and George Metellus, and they did a pretty good job throughout the match actually of commentating. But I like to think of them as being objective. Neither they're not like most Turks have a bias sort of ingrained within them, right? But neither of these guys was like pro Fener, pro Beşiktaş. But so they were pretty objective in all of their analysis, and I was pleased that they seemed to very clearly see something amiss here with the refs going with Fener, and especially on this play, they were like, I think it was Krakauer who was like, I think they just punished Kyle Larin for being bigger than the guy he was playing against, which is an accurate summation of that, I think. But so at this point, we are furious. Mert Hakan gets maybe a kind of pity yellow card.
No, it wasn't a pit. He literally just like another tactical foul.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in fact, oh my god. And this was right after Ozan Tufan committed an even more egregious foul that should have been given a yellow card as well. Especially, again, relative to the accidental contact that Kyle Larin was given a yellow card for.
This one also on a Bubakar. Now, there was just a lot of hauling down of players, just like grabbing around the waist, neck, arms, whatever was necessary to stop that man from running in on the defense.
I think it was Mensah who was making a really nice run, almost into
Mensah
open
was
space,
dribbling like it was his job.
Yeah, he was. This was his best match of the season. Still lacking on the final product of his touch, but nonetheless, you love to see the energy. But he was running into space, and I think had he been able to, he would have had an open field at least, or sort of, had he made the right pass.
There was just
but Ozan Tufan literally grabbed the back of his shirt and shoved him down. No foul, no call. I was stunned by especially in the context of Kyle Larin having just been given a yellow card for an accidental contact. Like that was
Yeah, I mean,
so much
technically,
injustice.
Any contact to that area, you can give a yellow card, but they usually say the face. So he didn't touch him in the face. I think maybe his finger flicked his chin as he was already falling over. But that doesn't count. That's not like smacking someone in the face.
No.
And secondly, like usually it's when you hit someone, not if you're just holding your hand out. It's like, especially the first yellow card was very soft. I guess maybe he thought he murdered him on the first yellow card, so he said, "Let me send this guy off." But it was quite soft.
Just garbage, man. Like this is the kind of stuff that plagues.
And then I think it was
Super
worth
League.
noting that there was one situation in the first half where Tisserand clearly pushed Laren in the box. I think we forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was like about to be through on goal. It was like he might make it, he might not, with Altai coming out, and he just clearly like extended his arms and pushed him out of the way, and he still almost got to the ball. But the referee said, we're not calling that. VAR didn't want to call that, and then as you see more, we'll talk about it. More calls went against us.
And like at first, I thought the ref was just like allowing a physical brand, and I was like, okay, like at least it's being consistent. But then it stopped being consistent. Like once it stopped being consistent, it was like, okay, this
it seemed like it was
biases are
physical, like
dangerous
when it benefited a certain team.
Yeah, exactly. But so sure enough, as the injustice is starting to settle in, and we are getting doom and gloom, rightfully, the amazing happens. What happened here? Joseph does something. He's not supposed to be this technical, is he?
I mean, he's Brazilian, so.
I guess, yeah, it's in his blood.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's never been I've never said he's garbage on the ball, but he's no deep line playmaker. Certainly a ball winner, but in this case, Tisserand I think it was a free kick delivery. He heads it straight up in the air for some reason. Not a good look for him, but it drops to Joseph, who's outside the 6, and then he just first time looping inside the foot kind of cross right to the back post, and El Capitan, who was not actually the captain, Nedja, heads over Gekon, who his face miraculously recovered in time.
Yeah, right.
And then he celebrated like a madman.
Yeah, historic celebration on the goal there. So yeah, there it is, 1-3, and suddenly maybe we're gonna make it. We're hoping. Substitutions: Novak out, Kadiolu in. Ozan Tufan scores in the 68th minute. You want to briefly describe that one?
Yeah, you missed. There was a yellow card from Gustavo, and they're in the 62nd.
Yeah, I sort of glanced over it.
Yeah.
They just because there should have been more, I don't even want to.
Yeah, but then the 68th minute. So I know you said Ademi didn't really do much. In this goal, he did kind of contribute. There was a cross into the middle. I think it was by Merit Hakan, and Ademi kind of flicked it down towards the 6-yard box, and this is where it was a weird scramble. I'm not sure if Atiba hit it or Pelkas hit it.
Yeah, that was weird.
But it hits bounced up against the crossbar, comes back down, and Ozan runs in and volleys it right through Montero's leg, who was on the goal line. I guess it was too fast for him to react. He just kind of just stood there. And then
I wouldn't
Utku was
blame
just
him for
flopping
that.
around trying to find where the ball was, because it was randomly deflecting. But
Yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't put that one on Montero. And I'll say, I have to say a word about Montero, because I think it deserves being said that the man came off of a historically terrible performance where even those of us inclined to defend him were kind of like, I don't know about this kid. And that was against, refresh my memory, 2 matches ago. Gaziantep, yeah. But so credit to him, I think he's lucky perhaps that there were all these injuries that sort of forced Sergen's hand as far as giving him another shot. But credit to him for putting in 2 very serviceable performances after that. I think a lot of people could have just crumbled there. But so, pretty decent from him. Still, you want to see more, but I'm glad he's played well enough that Wellington, maybe we won't see him play again next week. I don't know. I'd love to see a Vida Montero still. I don't know. Although Vida struggled a bit at times too, so That back line is still a little shaky. We got to sort that out. But
yeah, especially
anyway,
the center backs. I think the fullbacks
exactly.
are looking a little bit better.
Well, yeah, Rosier certainly contributes quite a bit. And just generally, I think Ridvan has been
And
fairly
Nsakala,
solid. Exactly. And Nsakala. We'll talk about him, too, in a moment. So the little carom goal for Ozan Tufan where he lucks out with some of the bouncing there. 70th minute, Wellington comes in for Necip. Necip was injured. He had some sort of thigh thing, it seemed like, right?
Yeah, he was pointing to his hamstring. He just kind of sat down. Was like, I'm done. So, some muscular issue.
And speaking of injured
Hamstring.
legs, in the 71st minute, Nkudu would come in for Mensah, which is an interesting move.
I thought maybe Gezal was going to come out, but Mensah will look quite tired. And I think probably Laren was supposed to come out in the 70th minute, but he obviously got a red card. So.
Yeah, he came out instead. 50th minute. So 77th minute, Mame Tiam would come in for Pelkas, who, he shows some things Pelkas does, but on the other hand, he also doesn't quite show enough, if I'm going to be honest. He's just a little physical, and he's athletic, but he didn't show much
more problems when he played for PAOK in the qualifier a couple months ago. He lost. He showed a little more then.
Sure did.
Scored a goal. This time he, kicked some players, dragged some players.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. More than the ball. 86th minute, Nsakala comes in for Rashid Ghezal, leading to a goal that I will probably remember for the rest of my life, because it was so fun. Wasn't this a fun goal, Evran? I'll let you do the description, even though I really loved it.
I mean, I can't remember. Nkudu picked up the ball well within his own half. Sprints towards just the slower Luis Gustavo, who's kind of stretched out on the wing, on our right wing where he doesn't quite belong.
It's a high IQ move by Nkudu because he realizes he's got a fatigued man who's been putting in a lot of work the whole match, and if he just gets enough space between that player and the ball, he can use his pace, right?
Yeah, hits more like he pushes the ball like down the line on the right side of Gustavo, and he runs around on the left. And at this point, he's gone.
Yeah.
Flying down the wing. There's I think the second angle, you can see all the players like go, come on.
Yeah, there's a guy behind him. I can't remember who it was. Who was just like, yes!
And you could kind of see that okay, this is. I think they had 2 or 3 guys in the box, and we had Abubakar, and that was kind of hovering around the top, and then Nsakala makes this just shrieking, long bursting sprint to catch up with, the speedster Nkudu. So you have to catch up to him. You gotta be pretty quick. Nkudu has to slow up a little bit to let Nsakala get to the back post, and he just hits this really hard curled low cross right perfectly around the center backs. And then that curls in to meet Nsakala right at the edge of the 6-yard box, and he side foots it.
On a one touch. I mean, everything about this goal is so awesome. Man, I saw people, people spice up highlights with FX and stuff. I've seen some great interpretations of it already.
The club posted a TikTok meme of it and got a lot of response, and then actually FIFA.com reposted that. Not just the goal, but with the meme, the oh no thing.
Yeah.
Just what? Why is FIFA reposting this? But yeah,
I'll take it. It was a memorable goal at the very least.
Yeah, the celebrations at this point were wild.
Yeah, epic.
You had to be there.
Exactly. Second minute of extra time, Abubakar comes out. I'm okay with it. You want to give the guy a chance for a hat trick, but we need him healthy, especially after a performance like that. We want him to keep going. And how dirty Fener is playing. By the way, Ozan Tufan got yellow card. Valentin Osier got a yellow card
for
their big scuffle.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
From anybody.
You love to see it. Ozan Tufan's a little turd, someone needs to push him around.
Game himself.
He was, as much as I think he's really become a really solid player, he's such a turd.
Yeah, there was a one moment, before, I don't know, it was around this time, but, he tries to drag down Atiba, and then Atiba still like kicks the ball away from him while he's being dragged down by Ozan. And then Ozan just like jumps into the center back and falls over, like, and then turns around and has the gall, the audacity to ask for a penalty or a foul. It's like you really just dragged the guy down and then jumped and headbutted someone.
That's like
It was just so frustrating that they were doing that all game long.
He doesn't quite make the hit list just because he shows enough talent that he backs it up. But like he's close. He's real close. He's like one like stupid racist comment away, or something off the books to put him on that list. But so yeah, 97th minute, the very same turd we were speaking of, Ozan Tufan, gets a goal on a penalty.
Yeah, very interesting penalty. I think we said Thiam came on. This is his only contribution. He just completely scuffs the shot, like in the box. It was off a volley. And then on the follow through, like after he shot the ball and noticed that he was shanking it to the corner flag, Wellington comes in and like his shin guard just like goes through his foot, like his studs. So apparently this caused Thiam to fracture his tibia because he grabs the shin after getting hit with the shin guard into the studs. And then VAR came back and said, we're calling this penalty since apparently any contact in the box is a foul now, even if it has no effect on the play.
Well, especially if the person committing the foul is wearing black and white.
Yeah, so
that's
I mean,
a contributing
the one
factor.
it seemed like they weren't giving soft penalties considering we had like an obvious foul on Laren that was like, usually in derbies you don't see it called, you're used to that, but then they give this soft one. That's like you can.
And
there's
that
even
was
more leeway to say it's not a foul.
It had nothing to do with the run of play either. It was
He saw that
after
he
the player.
missed. He felt the contact. It was like, oh damn, I missed. Let me fall over.
I mean, and
And they
the
decided-
one thing I will say is that this is the kind of stupidity from Wellington that you kind of
Yeah.
expect. So that's the risk of playing it. But so yeah, in the end, a few more yellow cards. Lemos and Joseph got a couple
Oh yeah,
cards.
this was the one. This was two red
the
cards
next
that really should have
scuffle.
been given.
Yeah.
So it was Ankuru beats John Aaron. John Aaron just like hauls him down again. For some reason it's not a foul. And Joseph clearly with Lemos is about to get into space. I think that no call and just the fact that Lemos was in space encourages Joseph to fly in
Two-footed tackle.
Like, just, like,
in
in the
his
air.
defense, I think he gets ball, but it's still like such a dangerous
goes through
tackle.
the guy's shin. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't studs up, but it was just so hard for no reason.
Yeah.
Lemos is mad. He gets up and headbutts him in the face.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for 2 red cards here. Instead, somehow we get 2 yellow cards.
I think it's because the
and
ref
I-
realizes it's his fault. He's like contributed to this violence.
Yeah, I mean, it was just he's letting weird things go, and then.
And again, credit to these American announcers who had the ability to be objective here, unlike most of us. And they straight up were like, "Oh, well, that's obviously because John Air comes in with a rugby tackle on."
yeah, he's just like no foul, and then.
on who was
"Oh, you
that?
wanna
Who did he
see a hard
tackle?"
challenge?
Yeah,
Nkudu.
exactly. On Nkudu,
See a
yeah.
hard
And
tackle? I'll
but
show you a
also-
hard tackle. It kills him.
what I think probably pissed off everyone on Beşiktaş, and myself too as a fan, was the way that foul was committed on Kudu, because we all know his injury issues, and they went right at him in a way that was like a little questionable. Like it felt like they were going to do damage, especially Caner. He's such a I genuinely don't like that guy. I really don't like that guy. But anyway, that would be it. Match over. 3-4.
There's one situation right at the end that we didn't talk about, and then one other referee thing. But like right at the end, Altay kind of just does a clear handball,
Oh yeah, the handball. Yeah, red card.
and the referee's like, "All right, game over."
yeah,
I've
exactly.
seen enough,
Forget
don't
it.
worry.
Yeah, exactly. Which is so crap.
It hit off his chest, but then it was going past because like he missed it, so it was gonna go behind him. It was just Guven, so Guven would have been through on goal with no one on him for about 40 yards. So unless
Well,
he
and
was like
plus,
the worst footballer of all time, you would think.
which I mean, granted, it's not out of his. It could be. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And then,
but-
so Altay sticks out his hand, stop that, and it hits off his his bicep, and he, redirects it back away from Guven, and they just call the game. Like, all right, that's enough.
And I'll
Like,
say this
that's what
too,
you do in
that
like youth games when you're like, I don't want to send off his 12-year-old, so I'm just gonna end it right here. But like,
that's how they're treating Altai. He's the 12.
Altai's not a 12-year-old. This is not.
No,
Sunday.
it was really fascinating too, because I think one could reasonably have argued that there should have probably been another 2 minutes added on because of all the fighting done in extra time.
Yeah, we already
and
played
and
like
it would have been Fener arguing for that because they're down and want to come back. But I think it's the realization that it's a double-edged sword for them, where they're like, we want more time. That's both, like, excuse me, damn, and now I have to bring out bleep anyway. But, like, you have to add on more time because of all the stoppage here. But on the other hand, that also means acknowledging that you now lose your goalkeeper,
for 2 games. Yeah.
right? Like, there's a lot. Like, so in a way, I bet even Fener is like, all right, just end it. Like, forget it.
Yeah. The one call we forgot to mention was when Mertakan just like did another I think this was at 3-2 or at 4.
That was around the Ozan one, actually. After it was before it was 2-1.
Ridvan was like running away from him to go down the wing, and then Mertakan grabs his neck, grabs his hand, and then trips him to like stop him from getting away from him. And the ref's like, yeah, it's just a foul. This is when Sergen was like losing it.
Well, and to be clear, these are really important. That non-call and the Ozan Tufan one that I mentioned, because Ozan Tufan will get himself a second yellow card.
Yeah, that was right after 3-2 because Mertakan missed a huge chance like before 4-2. I remember that now. He avoids the red card at 3-2 and then almost scores then. I think it was karma that he missed it, but.
And this is important because he did get a yellow card in the 53rd minute, and Ozan Tufan did get a yellow card in the 90th minute. So that could have both of those could have equaled second yellow cards, and even more disparity, right? So I think the fact that we played a man down this whole match is a travesty in and of itself.
Especially like in the manner that Laren got both his yellow cards for for Mertakan to ask for one.
It's crazy.
Like. If you're like, as a player, every time you're grabbing, like sometimes you grab and let go, you're risking a yellow card. The reason you let go is so you don't get a yellow card. In this case, maybe he let go from his neck. That's crazy. And his hand, but then he also kicked him. Like, it was like, it was just like, please don't, like, I don't care. I'm getting a red card. Don't dribble past me or away from me. That was like literally the decision he made. And then the referee just gives him a foul.
Garbage.
After Laren got sent off for holding his hand out.
Yeah, for being taller than his opponent. No, it was a terribly refereed match. We had to beat a side with an extra guy and a referee
the
in their pocket.
Was not helping us at
Yeah,
all.
also. So that's 13 men, I guess you could say, to 10. But we did it, and it will be one of those victories that we'll all remember for years to come, I would imagine. Stats, Evran. What do you got on stats? Because I feel like we went way overboard on the description there.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, they had more possession and shots considering we played 40 minutes with 10 men. So if you want the basic stats, they had 60% to 40, and they had 18 shots to our 7. In terms of big chances, they had 5 and we had 3. So that's a little bit more even. Duels won. This is where we did better in the basic stats. We won 54 duels at it, and they only won 42. So individually, our players dribbled and won way more headers, which contributes to that. And then if you want the cool stats,
Yeah, let's go.
as a team, XG I think is a little bit inflated on their part, in my opinion. Just close that.
I mean, remember though, they were in desperation for much of the match.
Yeah,
like two goals behind. So.
They did have, in the end, they had 3.7 and we had 1.7. So that is obviously 2 goals better. You say, it's a huge. Their penalty, which is extremely soft, that counts for 0.75 of a goal. And then for their second goal, it counted as 2 shots. The one that hit the crossbar, then they scored. So that was. There were like 2 huge XG chances, and the one Merit Hakan missed when he should have been sent off is also a huge one. So I think, the referees kind of helped him. And then also, like, before we get the red card, they still had the XG advantage, but they really only had 1 chance. So it was like kind of like in the balance. They had one chance. We had two like slightly smaller chances just because Abubakar did very
He just
well to make them look
masterful.
easy.
Yeah, there you go.
They had that one tap in, but it wasn't like they were dominating us until they got Laren sent off. So that's when they started to accumulate the XG was
Well, yeah, and plus again they're down 2, so they're
from
launching
about the
forward.
65th minute on. They started accumulating. One was a penalty, then one was from a sent off. Should have been sent off player. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's very obvious that the stats reflect a game where the team that was behind was pushing forward and sort of more desperate. But
And it's also
I think you can also we did a more technical job.
Utku didn't make any saves. He made
Exactly,
one or two basic saves. He made 2 saves in the game, one in the second half. So it wasn't like they were pelting him and he was pulling out crazy saves.
Unlike in the previous match where he really did
Yeah.
stand out. But so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was one of those matches where I think you generally felt pretty good through much of it, except for that moment where we got the red and we were only up a goal.
That's where I thought we were screwed, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen
So
this
that was
before.
like Necip really calmed our hearts, you could say. He saved us all a great deal of stress. Yeah, I mean, just a great match. I think this is one of those ones. We should probably mention that the last time Beşiktaş won in the Sukri Saracoğlu was 15 years previous. Maybe more? What was it? Do you know exactly?
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, it was 2005 was the last time we beat them. It was the same scoreline, 4-3.
Exactly, yeah. No, when we were winning 3-2, I felt like it was going to end 4-3 somehow. Even though there wasn't much time, you could feel it was kind of that kind of match where there was a lot left on the table. But yeah, sure enough, great win. We have to talk about the standings now because this is what our ideal scenario was, which we never could have imagined. Going into the stretch of matches where it was like Başakşehir, Fener, Alanya, right? We were like, hopefully we can get like 4 points. Well, we've already got 6 going into the third match. So with that comes some fairly good news regarding the standings, hey? I'll just say we're in 4th place with a game in hand. But even with that game in hand, we'd still be in 4th place, even if we won it, because we're down 4 points on Fener and Galatasaray, who have 20 and are in 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, so we have a game in hand on the 2 teams above us, which is Gala and Fener, the 3 teams below us, which is Kasımpaşa, Gaziantep, and Fatih Karagümrük. So at this point, the only team that can pass us is Hatay. They still have 2 games in hand. So they could technically pass us, but no one else below us can pass us. And then Alanya has the same amount of games as us, and they're well ahead, 7 points. So right now we're in touching distance for 2nd place.
Yeah, but so our next match is against Kasımpaşa, but then we'll play Alanya after that, and that's when that game in hand will be resolved for both of us, one way or another. Yeah, I mean, things are looking pretty good. Alanya, you'd rather it be Alanya up there a little bit out of reach than one of our rivals. So it's good to know that we're technically, if we can get this result next against Kasımpaşa, just a point behind Fener and Galatasaray.
Yeah. Decent shape. I think this is after the loss against Gaziantep. You were kind of like, well, that was the gimme win, and now we have the hard ones, and we've pulled two cats out of the bag. So now we have another, gimme win. Not that Kasımpaşa's Babs are right on our tail, but they fired or lost 2 coaches already this season because they just keep quitting.
I don't know what's going on there. It's such a weird club. They gave away players for free to as charity for Galatasaray and Fener this year. They're just a really strange club who hates us apparently. But I'm glad they didn't give us Fode Koita. I would have been so sad if we didn't have Abubakar. But anyway, so yeah, upcoming Friday, December 4th, 11:30 a.m. for those of us on the eastern coast of the United States, which I believe that's 6:30 or 5:30. I don't know. You can look up your local listings as always. We're at home again against Kasımpaşa, so I guess that's useful. When are we getting fans? Isn't that supposed to happen at some point?
I don't know in Turkey. I know in England they said for the New Year, but I don't think.
I thought we were getting limited
happening.
fans in Turkey.
Say we had limited fans. I think they took them away. Countries in lockdown. So.
Yeah, well, it's gotten pretty bad there. Yeah, but now that I have this stupid thing, or probably have it, it sure means something different. God damn, it really sucks. All right. But yeah, so Kasim Pasha at home, upcoming. Then we have Alanyaspor the following Sunday, although it's still to be decided. I don't think that match is... you should look out for that. The one sort of news item, I suppose, Domagoj Vida is back from his coronavirus protocol, so he'll be available against Kasim Pasha. Also, our opponent in the Turkish Cup has been decided. That match is going to happen on the 17th of December. So December is going to have a lot of football for us Beşiktaş fans. And the 5th round of the Turkish Cup will see Beşiktaş host Tarsus İdman Yurdu.
Yeah. So they beat, for context, Istanbulspor 1-0 in the previous round. So not like the biggest upset ever. They're in the 3rd division. Istanbulspor is in the 2nd division. Istanbulspor obviously rested a lot of players. So you would assume we would put out some players that have not played.
Yeah, no, I like the opportunity.
Like I'm assuming
those
Atakan
kids.
and Oğuzhan and players like that will be playing. Probably
Yeah.
Big Ben.
Yeah,
And
and
obviously
maybe
we don't know
like
what's gonna happen, but
Kartal Kara Yilmaz and stuff like that. But yeah, so we've gone on too long, as we tend to do. But obviously, this was a great week for Beşiktaş, and yeah, I mean, one we'll relive many times in our heads for years to come, probably. But so let's round this thing out. Any final comments, everyone?
shout out to Abubakar. Shut up the haters. I don't think he's 100% still, but I think he's got that. He's just quality. I think he just needs to get a little bit more up to like the rhythm of the season, so he can play like that for maybe longer than the first half. So I think he tends to fade a little bit, but my boy's back, so I'm happy about that. And then also shout out to Joseph and Rosier. I think we're big. Joseph was like almost flawless outside of trying to murder someone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I kind of feel like he carried the defense a little bit.
And that guy deserved to be murdered. Let's be free. Let's be real here. No, I'm
and
kidding.
then Rosier, shout out to, I'm not sure if you saw that like karate clearance he did. That like I don't think anyone can explain how he did it, but the ball was like above his head and he like spun and flipped in the air. Shout out to that guy. Absolute maniac who we are reportedly trying to buy. So
yeah. We need, so far this squad looks like it's one that's worth preserving as much as we can.
And I have to admit one more thing about Gezal. I said there's no point on bringing in an Algerian Gökhan Terer. Turns out Gökhan Terer is made out of glass. Not turns out,
still,
but
yeah.
He hasn't played ball.
And credit to Gezal, he was really sort of masterful on the ball, which we hadn't seen much of. But those little moves, he was making people look silly out there, which was fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, again, he had like his two key passes. Not like he's prime light, clipping in balls, but he worked pretty hard on defense. Not as hard as other guys, but hard enough. And then he stays fit, so we'll give him that. As much as we criticize, and I know I criticized the move. So.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like it's working out. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope it keeps going. Obviously, what we've had a tendency of doing as a club is taking steps back after taking steps forward, so we don't really gain the maximum benefit. So let's hope we can actually string some matches together here. Now, I guess I gotta close this thing out. Follow us on Twitter. Follow Beşiktaş International. Again, transfer window's coming up. Rumors are starting to swirl. Although at the same time, like the club is settling it, so I don't know. I don't know what our needs are at this point, or if they're as dire as they previously were. But yeah, follow Beşiktaş International at Beşiktaş International at Beşiktaş_INT. Follow us here at Eagles_podcast. Follow myself at Sir_Wrights_a lot. On Instagram, Black Eagles Podcast, one word. Evran, you still on the old hiatus?
Social media hiatus.
That's it is what it is. You can't follow this guy. You gotta listen to us to hear this man's opinion. But yeah, on that note, we will be back as always soon, actually, because our next match is on Friday. So maybe we'll record, since we were late with this one, thanks to my stinking coronavirus. Hopefully the next one will come around sooner. We shall see. As we said earlier, we'll be analyzing the match against Kasim Pasha coming Friday. So stay tuned. Yeah, I mean, I do, of course, have to say, go Beşiktaş! Huge win, the big W. Alright. Sorry, that dragged on so long.
Lovren geldi.
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.